So on this hike, I want to tell you a story of how walking changed my life. It's currently about 5 degrees Celsius and it's about a 26-kilometer hike, roundabout. But we might do a couple of little side quests along the way. It's been raining for about a week, so it's a bit boggy, a bit muddy, but that's all right. Got some leather boots on, so we should be fine. Keep nice and dry. So yeah, should be brilliant. Just a nice brisk morning. Hopefully the sun comes out. We're expecting a little bit of rain, but that's not going to stop us from having a bit of fun. So glad I didn't wear my trail running shoes. They would have been soaked within like 100 meters of this trail. I genuinely didn't think I'd be crossing a river. Oh, that's chilly. That river literally felt glacial. It is so cold. That's all right, freshen up early in the morning. One of the things I absolutely love about hiking is the obstacles that you're always dealing with. I had no idea that it was going to be a river crossing just then, but it's a great way to go and explore. Walking can be the antidote to the overwhelm or the stressful feelings that you might be going through. I definitely found that when I first started, I was deep in a challenging part of my life. I was so addicted to comfort and addicted to the creature comforts of the world, such as food and alcohol and gaming. I thought I was progressing with all these things, but realistically I was getting fat, lazy, and really unmotivated to do anything other than this progression in what I thought was reality at the time. But walking, once I figured it out, once I broke through that threshold, was one of my outlets, and then that turned into all the different adventures that I've currently achieved, like hiking the Larapinta Trail, hiking the Grampians Peaks Trail, running a marathon, running an ultra marathon, you know, investing, saving. Before I started walking, I was broke. I was in probably about $70,000 worth of debt. I was about 25 kilos or 24 kilos heavier than I am now. I was in a relationship that was unhappy and toxic for both of us, because I was addicted to gaming and food and creature comforts, and I would just sort of resist any challenge or anything. Even though I was progressing in my career, at that time I was already head teacher, I was already pretty well established in my field, but the rest of life was taking a real big hit. The one thing about walking is it's an antidote to whatever life's throwing at you. I found that when I was in my most stressful, anxious states, I had a really big decision to make, or I needed to find a creative solution to a problem that seemed impossible to solve. I found that going for a walk was the antidote that I really needed, just to clear my head, get some sort of clarity on what was I dealing with, and drown out the noise of the day, and then I could actually take action on whatever it was. Sometimes there was no action, the action was the walk itself, just to give me enough time to decompress with whatever emotion I was dealing with at the time, and still do. So if I'm feeling stressed or anxious or angry or whatever it may be, I'll go for a walk. Calm is contagious. Have you ever seen like a car crash or something like that, where emergency services come to the scene? Well, they just get out of the car, calm, cool, collected, and just go, move, we've got this. And I feel like that's what walking does for your brain. It's like everyone's panicked, everything's going nuts, all this stress and panic, and then you get on the trail and you go for a walk and your brain's like, move, I got this. And it just comes in and calms the situation down. And that skill that calm is contagious comes from the Navy SEALs. They pass it on from leader to leader. For any situation that they are facing, they go in there with calm, cool, collected. And that is contagious. The rest of the men, the rest of their soldiers feel that presence from their leader, and then they all calm down. Because like, if he's that calm, we can handle this as well. And I feel like that is sort of what happens when I'm going out for a walk and my brain is going crazy because there's all these issues I'm dealing with in life or whatever it may be. And I get out on that trail and my body just goes, we got this. Everything just fades away. Mental clarity becomes crystal clear, and we can just deal with what we have to do. Now, I've told you I was addicted to gaming, but you might not realize how big that addiction was. Ever since I was in high school, hey, come with me, let's keep going. Ever since I was in high school, I used to play Xbox, PlayStation, whatever it may be, religiously. And then that transferred when I was at uni, and then once I'd finished and graduated uni, I would play after work every single day as soon as I get home. So if I got home at 4 o'clock, I was on that Xbox, logging in to whatever the game was at the time. Now, just to give you a bit of context, when I was in high school, I used to play a game called Call of Duty World at War. It was my favorite game. It was World War II. Loved it, loved the history, loved just the whole experience. But one day I looked at my stats and I was probably, 17 at the time, not even. And I looked at my stats and it said 365 days played. And I was like, I thought I'd been playing longer than that. And then I realized, no, that's 365 days in the game that I'd played. So I technically sat in front of that screen playing that game for an entire year of my life, which is absolutely nuts. And you've got to consider, once I graduated high school and university, just said hello to a couple of more hikers. So continuing with the story. So I'd spent over 365 days in this one game. Now that was when I was in high school. After high school, I was playing university as well as once I graduated. And I was actually going home after work. Say I finished work at 4 o'clock, get home within half an hour, I would jump on the Xbox and I'd probably play till 9 or 10 o'clock at night and then go to work and obviously the next day and so forth. But what that one little thing did was, because I was addicted to leveling up in this game, leveling up in the progress, and I thought I was achieving so much, it ended up translating into, look, I don't have time to go and cook. I don't have time to go and exercise. Don't have time to do all these things. So I ended up putting on like 24 kilos, and I'm not a big dude, but back then I was pretty big. So if you think, I've lost a whole year of my life in this one game. Now I used to play all sorts, Fallout, Battlefield, Skyrim, like you name it, I was playing it, and I was playing it in depth. I was doing every single side quest there possibly was in these games, until one day I went, I can't do this anymore. I just can't. Like, I'm literally not progressing. I'm excessively overweight. I'm so unfit. I can't even run 100 meters or walk up some stairs without getting puffed. And I was on the 3rd flight of my stairs in my apartment. So I just had that mental breakthrough of like, this can't happen anymore. So I started walking. Instead of going home and picking up the Xbox controller and just getting on and logging on and playing all day, all night with my mates, I put on my shoes and I went for a 5-minute walk, just 5 minutes. But what that 5-minute walk turned into, after a couple of times, it would turn into 15 minutes. Then it turned into an hour. And then it turned into 5 to 6 kilometers walking through the bush. And it was pretty amazing. My head just started getting clarity. I started feeling so much healthier, so much more energy. And the great thing was, there was all these benefits. I was losing weight, I was feeling healthy, I was feeling way more happy, and I was feeling like I had a sense of progress or achievement in my actual life, that because people around me started noticing. I actually went to work one day And the finance ladies were saying, "Hey, you're looking great. What have you been doing?" And it was just a trail hiker. So onward with the story. Finance ladies walked in and they said, "Oh, you look great. You lost a ton of weight. What have you been doing?" And all I said was, "I've been walking." Like, nothing crazy to it. Just put my shoes on after, no matter what the day was. If it was the worst, most insane, stressful day I had, I would go for a walk. And that was it. That was the start of all these other things in life. That was the start of a series of promotions. That was the start of getting out of debt and starting to invest in myself and in my future, both physically but also financially. It was the beginning of everything. It was the beginning of the identity that I created. Because remember, when you are really wanting to change something, it's great to have a habit, it's great to have a practice, but to make it lasting, to make it lifelong, you have to change your identity. Before, I said I was a gamer. Yeah, I don't run, I don't work out, don't have the time. To that huge mindset shift of, I'm a runner, I'm a hiker, I'm a reader. Because remember, back then there's so many conflicting issues with that one addiction that compounded in everything. I didn't read, I refused. I thought, nah, I'm never gonna get anything out of books. I hate books. Like, why am I reading? It was the same attitude I had to exercise, same attitude I had to running, all that kind of stuff. So that one decision can change the whole trajectory of your life. So for me, walking is now a stable outlet. If I'm feeling stressed, I'm feeling like I don't have time to deal with the hard things, or I just need to process whatever's going on in my day, walking is the answer. Because if you need to be creative, go for a walk. If you need to deal with stress, go for a walk. If you need to solve a problem that you have no idea how to solve, go for a walk. So if anything, if you're watching this video, just go for a walk. Do yourself a favor. Go and explore something cool. It doesn't have to be huge. Like, you don't have to come out for an overnight hike like I am. Remember, this is progress from not being able to run 100 meters to now just doing crazy endurance kind of events, because I feel a sense of achievement and accomplishment and proud of myself for doing them. Not to say that for everyone, but walking, that's not too hard. One thing I'm still trying to learn with hiking is to chill out and have a break. It's not about getting to the destination as quickly as possible. It's about just enjoying the progress and the journey that you're on. But that's something I struggle with because I just sort of charge ahead instead of just taking some time to just chill out. Now, I stopped at a bakery before here, so got myself a little muffin. Oh yeah. Yeah, blueberry and apple, so good. So let's continue on with the hike, eh? One of the things I realized when I started walking was how many different aspects of my life improved. So as I said before, I was an avid non-reader. Like, I literally hated it. If I was in school and I was told to read a book, I'd watch the movie instead. I was literally addicted to comfort. Like, anything that would require me to do any sort of level of effort, it's not happening. But when I started walking, I just realized that I wanted to start learning things. One of the first ever books I started reading was called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Yeah, this is pretty cool. Let's go and have a look. Yeah, pretty sick. Crazy kind of rock. Yeah, so the first book I ever read, like of free will, was The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Now, if you've watched some of my videos already, or you've talked to me in person, you'll hear me quoting that book non-stop. And one of the ones I really came down to embracing was the chapter where he discusses seek first to understand before being understood. And that chapter there really hit me because I was expecting life to be handed to me. I was expecting life to be given to me on a silver platter. Why is this so hard to me? Why am I having to experience this? Why won't this person listen? And ultimately, because I really wasn't trying to seek to understand the situation, anyone else's opinions or experiences other than my own. So it really put me into this deficit model. As I said, I was super in debt. Like, I had, I don't know, like nearly $30,000 worth of HEX debt, which is for university. I had a personal loan, it's like 25 grand. I had 2 car loans and a credit card loan. And at the time, single income, and it was just ridiculous, really. Don't know why I did it to myself, other than I was trying to seek comfort. I was trying to seek sort of this idea of significance from my belongings, or because I sort of come from a bit of a poor background, families. I never really been crazy well off, but mum and dad have always provided for us because they're the most amazing people in this world, genuinely. So that first chapter that I really dived into was to seek first to understand before being understood. Now, what did that mean? It really meant, what was I missing? What was the issues that I was having? And why wasn't I making any progress? So for example, in my finances, why was I always living paycheck to paycheck, even with a stable job as a teacher? And it really came down to that, having this experience of never really investing, never really being taught how to invest or how to save or budget money effectively. So I really had to go and seek to understand what was going on. What do people do to get themselves out of debt and then invest in the stock market or whatever it was? And one of the principles I learned was a thing called snowball investing. Now, first, it sounds like it's all about investment. This is pretty cool. It sounds like it's all about investment, but realistically, it's about getting yourself out of debt as quickly as possible. And the premise of it is really, you start with your smallest amount of, say you've got 5 loans, you've got a credit card, you've got a car loan, you've got a uni loan, whatever it might be. You start with the smallest one first. You smash it off and you smash it down, because when you pay that debt off, you get a mental win. Wow, this is crazy boggy. Yeah, so you get this mental win when you pay off your first debt. So for example, I just paid off my credit cards, which was like, I don't know, $2,000 or $3,000. It took me a while to save that money. Oh gosh. But once, oh my God, I'm gonna definitely slip up in here. I just wanted to show you this bog. I don't know why I'm walking back through it, but it's crazy. Yeah, so, whoa. Pay off your smallest debt first, and that really trickles on to the rest. It creates a snowball. So you roll a snowball down the hill, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. That's the idea of the snowball investment or snowball debt reduction method. And it just meant within, I think it was 3 years, so, well, maybe quicker, within about 2 years, I'd managed to pay off all of my debt, every single cent. I paid off my HECS debt, my car loans, credit cards, the lot. And when you're in that level of debt, you have this immense burden of like, you feel trapped. Well, I felt trapped. But once it was gone, you sort of have this sense of freedom that I can go and do what I want to do, and I'm not restricted to having no money. So that was one of the effects of starting to read. Like, that book didn't necessarily teach me that method. I believe that one is by Dave Ramsey. But the principle of personal development started from reading that book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Hey, you still there? Well, that's good, because we're not even at the best part yet. So one of the cool things you can do when you're coming hiking is just go explore a little bit. It's pretty wild. Let's get up here. A couple of giant caves. One of the most limiting beliefs I ever had was, I don't have enough time. Let's go. I don't have enough time. Don't have enough time to go and meet people, do the hard things, work on my finances, go to the gym, all those kind of things. And now teachers know this especially, that we're always time poor. We never have enough time to do the things that we really want to do. And there's always compounding issues and factors involved with that. One of the things that walking has uncovered for myself, now, it's in that moment, in time, and making things sustainable, that walking is a set of expectations for yourself. Now, we're about to hit a massive U, so I'm going to stop talking, shut up, and we're going to experience this together. Time seems to stop still when you're out on the trail. All the deadlines you have to do, all the meetings you have to make, all the things that you have to create just disappear when you come for a walk. So one of the things my teacher colleagues and I have in common, that we always feel like we never have enough time. And one thing walking can help solve is get that perspective back of everything is not instantly crisis mode. We have the time if we accordingly plan and prepare, but the only way we can do that is if we've got mental clarity, we're not overburdened by all sorts of different requirements. So one way we can get this clarity is come out for a hike like this. one of the key landmarks I'm going to is Korang Peak. You can sort of see it out in the background there. When I was getting my life together, when I started walking, I found myself with all this extra time because I was consuming all these games and movies and whatever, and then I started walking just for an hour a day, and it's starting to rain. Look at that weather. And one of the most powerful things that I learned when I started getting all this time back that I was using before for gaming and all that kind of stuff was I needed to replace a habit with a habit. So I replaced gaming with walking, but then I had all this time, and that's when I started reading, and my next sort of logical step was studying again. So I never thought I'd ever go back to uni. It took me 6 years to complete a 4-year bachelor's degree in teaching just because I wasted so much time. And I went back to uni. I went back and I completed a Masters of Educational Leadership. And when I was doing that, I had to get really good at actually managing my time. So what did that look like? Well, I took the lessons from James Clear's book, Atomic Habits. Now, the first couple of things that stood out to me was there was really two things. One, stacking the habits, meaning add one thing onto the habit that you've already got ingrained. Check that out. And then the second thing is anchor that habit with something like music or a time of day or something you've eaten. These views are epic. Come up here. It's getting windy. So, what did that mean? I was working full time. I was working from about 6 in the morning. Just got to find the trail again. I was working from about 6 in the morning to about 5-ish at night, maybe a bit longer, because in the midst of me starting all these habits and trying to get my life back together, there was a staffing crisis. There still is a staffing crisis in education where teachers are significantly in demand. There's huge shortages across the board. And personally, when I was running and leading, wow, this is windy. When I was leading the industrial arts faculty at my old school, which consisted of 5 team members and myself, basically, one point I was down 3 staff members. And I had to figure out, how do I actually deliver all these courses to the 1,000 kids at this school and make sure they get an education that's relatively okay and not kill myself doing it. And so one of the methods I developed, and prior to this all happening, I had the foundations in motion, was I started creating online resources and more sustainable models. So I had the team working collaboratively to build all the resources in a single Google Drive, and then obviously that then translated over to Google Classroom, and then that translated over to our Google site. So it was a big ecosystem, but it meant when I was 3 staff members down, I could actually get up at 6, I could issue about 3 class worth of teaching load courses across the school. So that would be like, I don't know, 15 lessons that would be delivered by a casual, or you'd have the students just self-pacing, being autonomous in their own learning. but it meant I could sustain that method and we weren't falling too far behind and kids weren't falling too far behind of where they were progressing in their course. So what I would do is I'd get up at 6, I would issue my work across 3 teachers plus my own for the courses that we were delivering. I would finish about 5 to 6 o'clock, I'd come home, I would put my shoes on, I'd go for a walk, I would then finish that walk, come home, cook dinner. Then after that, I would be playing music, I'd eat while watching a single episode of whatever it was at the time, so like Witcher or one of the cool TV shows I was watching at the time. And then after that, I'd put some music on, I'd go and do some weights, go work out, and then after that, I would then go and do my master's course. And that involved a 7-week cycle, 2 assignments within each 7 weeks, roughly 2,000 to 3,000 word essays and case studies. So it was quite a lot, but it meant my day was full. But the way I managed it was I stacked my habits one after the other, and then I anchored it with music and times of day. So if you're feeling like you don't have enough time, start with walking and then stack your habits on top of it, because you can do some pretty epic things and achieve some pretty amazing things. Let's check this out. Wow. So if you were like me and you felt like you don't have enough time, start stacking your habits. What's one thing you can do after an already existing thing that you do in your day? So if you drink a coffee, could you go for a walk after your coffee? Like, make it practical, and then anchor that to become your new identity, meaning put some sort of emotional anchor in the background. You probably can't tell, but that wind is brutal, so just got to put a jacket on. So you might be like, "But Vaughn, are you telling me to stop playing all video games?" I'm saying no, I love video games. I've literally gamified my life. I just remembered and I just figured out that video games were wasting my life because I couldn't control the addiction. So instead, I've taken the same principles of video games and applied it to every aspect of my life, leveling up each bit. So when I was gaining all that time back and I started with walking, that was the first little win I had. First little achievement unlocked. Oh, look, I've walked to 5Ks. Cool, I've walked 5Ks for 30 days in a row. Wow, I've started running. Wow, I can run 5Ks without absolutely dying. Wow, I can actually run a marathon. Oh my God, I'm now doing an ultra marathon and doing a 7 to 8 day hike. Like, what the fuck? That is gamification, but just applying it to my own life. So if you love video games, sick. But unlike me, you probably got a little bit more control of that addiction or that addictive tendency. So I'm not saying don't play video games at all. They're pretty fun. But for me, they were the thing that was holding me back, and walking was the thing that started this amazing journey. So within that time, I've achieved some amazing things, met some amazing people, and I continue to do so. So let's keep going with this hike. I think we're about halfway, but it's getting pretty chilly. I reckon it's below 5 degrees now, easily, at least wind chill. But that doesn't matter, got plenty of layers, and the scenery is pretty awesome too. Keeps changing. We got these rugged bushfires came through here a few years back and just destroyed everything. So you can see these big trees are just like cooked, but you can see all this growth that's come back, which is pretty incredible. And all these wildflowers that are out at the moment. And if you're liking this content that I'm putting out in this format, this style, can you go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and even send it on to a mate who might be interested in walking or just in hiking or doing some amazing things. Really keen to connect. Relatively new to this style of content, but I've been making it for years, but just not seriously. So if you like it, hit us that follow, hit that subscribe button, send it on to some mates, and show us where to go hiking next. This is your reminder to really just sit down and enjoy the view. I've been talking for a bit, so just come for a hike with me and I'll continue the story in a minute. You ready for a pretty incredible view? One of the main reasons you come out for a hike is to see some amazing things. Whoop, and not slip in the mud. We're nearly there. Check this out. So the really pointy mountain over there is called Dithel. Other name for it is Pigeon House. If I haven't convinced you to go for a walk yet, I hope this view does. How epic's that? Just incredible, hey? This is what I love about hiking. You just can be bush bashing, wading through layers of mud, and then you're absolutely rewarded with incredible views like this. And just like that, we're back into the scrub, back into the bush. We're about to do a big dipper, go right down into the valley. I think we're going to get one last peek of this incredible view before we get down there. That's why I love hiking. You really don't know what you're going to get. You look on Google and go, yeah, that looks like a decent hike, nice, but the photos never do it justice. Like if you could see the expanse of this, the ocean is out the back on that horizon. Yeah, that giant platform is the castle. And this is a culmination of the Moreton National Park and the Buttawang National Park. There's a bit of a border around here, I'm just not too sure where, but it's an amazing part of the country and I'm so lucky to be out here. So if I haven't convinced you yet to start walking, wow, I don't know if I can. If this isn't the most incredible kind of things you can see in our existence as people, as humans, I don't know what is. We've got a giant eagle cruising. I think, whoa, I nearly fell. I genuinely think he probably thinks I'm dinner because he's just cruising above me. You can see him looking at me. Wow, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but he's just there. He's massive. So this is a story of how walking has changed my life. So if you've made it this far, consider hitting that like button, subscribing for more, and sending it on to a mate, even if it is just to show them how awesome this country is, and share a hike with your friends. Another thing I've found, being the benefits of walking, so I'm just trying to slip ass up in this mud, is basically walking by yourself, or solo hiking, solo walking. Just give you time and be selfish with your time, and be selfish on why you're going out for a walk and what you're doing, because ultimately, if you aren't looking after yourself, I've found that you can't really help anyone else. So for me, walking is one of those things that I do to look after myself. Now I'm probably about an hour away, a bit over an hour away from sunset, and I've got to get all the way down into there, and the camp's down there somewhere. It's close to the final destination of the Korang arch, but I've got a dilemma. There's a pretty epic camp spot down there. Can you see where they had a fire pit? Just underneath this cliff edge, and I'll have a pretty amazing sunset. So, decisions. I think I might camp there because I'm looking at that out there, and that looks like it might pour down with rain. So let's chill here for a little bit and let's have a look at the map. Scrap that, I just looked at the map. The actual arch is probably about 400 meters back that way. Now the trail that I'm following does camp down the bottom there, but when you've got a campsite like this, I think calls for a decision to stay here. Look, the sun is going to set and it's going to be amazing. So I'm going to go set up camp. This is so cool. Check it out. This is going to be camp for the night. Got some perfect little seat, nice little fire pit, and an incredible view. So, ta-da! You could enjoy this very moment, all the things you're praying to reach by taking the long way around. You'd stop depriving yourself. Ask most people what they're working toward, and you'll get an answer like, I'm trying to become a teacher, a doctor, a lawyer. Or they'll tell you they're trying to get appointed to some impressive committee or position, become a millionaire, get discovered, become famous, whatever it might be. Now, ask a couple more questions such as, why are you doing that? What are you hoping it will be like when you get there? And you find at the very core of it, people want freedom, people want happiness, and people want respect of their peers. A Stoic looks at all of this, shakes his head in immense effort and the expense we put into chasing things that are simply straightforward to acquire. It's as if we prefer to spend years building instead of just reaching out and picking up what we want. It's like looking all over for your sunglasses and realizing they're on the top of your head the whole time. Freedom, that's easy. It's in your choices. Happiness, that's easy. It's in your choices. Respect of your peers, that too is in your choices you make. And all of that is right in front of you. No need to take the long way to get there.